The price of my life. How my best friend saved us from the flood. Hey there. I'm Alex. I'm 28. I used to be just your average blue-collar guy, pulling double shifts at our local plant. Life was simple. Home, work, weekends. Back home, Elizabeth was always waiting for me. My wife, my whole universe. We've been together since high school, and honestly, to this day, I still don't know what I did to deserve someone as amazing as her. And then there was Tom, my best friend. We spent 3 years working side by side at the same machine. You know those kinds of people who are just walking sunshine? Everything around you is going to hell. We are falling behind schedule. The boss is losing his mind. But Tom just smiles, pats you on the back, and goes, "Alex, we got this. We've been through worse." If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, and Elizabeth wouldn't even be breathing. I'm recording this video because I promised myself, the whole world needs to know what this guy did when our town went underwater. The water came in silence. This happened 3 weeks ago. It had been pouring buckets for about 4 days, but they kept telling us on the radio that the dam would hold, and there was no reason to panic. Tom and I were just wrapping up our evening shift at the plant. We had literally an hour left to go when suddenly, the sirens started wailing across the property. It was this eerie, non-stop sound. A minute later, the boss bursts into the shop and screams, "The dam burst. Everybody run." We rushed outside, and my heart just dropped. The water wasn't just flowing, it was coming at us like a wall. This rushing, muddy brown torrent was knocking people off their feet, carrying trash, branches, and random pieces of wood. The power went out across the whole town instantly. Total chaos broke out, car horns blaring, people screaming in the pitch black. The first thing I thought about was Elizabeth. Our house is down in the valley, right by the river, and she was there all by herself. I lunged toward my car, but the water was already up to my knees. The engine would have just flooded. I froze, totally paralyzed by this numb, sticky terror. Right then, Tom grabbed my shoulders and shook me hard. "Alex, snap out of it. My truck is parked uphill. It's got higher clearance. We are gonna get to Liz. Jump in." The drive through a drowning town. What we saw on the way there was pure hell. Our quiet town was vanishing right before our eyes. The water was rising at a crazy speed. First it hit the wheels, then the hood. The currents were sweeping away sedans. People were climbing onto the roofs of buses, screaming for help. When we finally made it to our street, my breath caught in my throat. It looked like an actual ocean out there. The first floors of the houses were completely submerged. We abandoned Tom's truck because it couldn't go any further. The water was up to my chest now, and the current was so strong it kept knocking us off our feet. We were moving literally inch by inch, clinging to fences and road signs. "Elizabeth!" I screamed, foaming at the mouth, tearing my vocal cords until my voice went completely hoarse. And then I saw her. Our one-story house was flooded almost up to the roof. Liz was standing on the porch awning, frantically clinging to the drainpipe. The water was already washing over her feet. The current was eroding the foundation, and the house was literally creaking. She was pale, soaking wet, and shaking uncontrollably from the cold and fear. "Alex!" she shrieked when she spotted us, and there was so much sheer desperation in her voice that I can still hear that sound echoing in my ears today. Tom and I swam over to her. Thanks to his height and strength, Tom managed to hoist me up. I scrambled onto the awning and grabbed Elizabeth. But we couldn't stay there. The house was about to collapse any second. The bridge trap. Our only hope was an old concrete pedestrian bridge that led to the upper, hilly part of town. The water hadn't reached that far yet. Tom took Elizabeth in his arms because she was too frozen to walk, and I cleared a path through the floating debris. We scrambled up the bridge steps, the roaring current raging right beneath us, just 2 feet below the deck. The bridge was shaking from the impact of logs and trash being carried by the river. And then, when we were just a few steps away from the safety of the hillside, there was a horrific, muffled crash. A massive runaway barge, or maybe some heavy metal warehouse shed, slammed into the bridge pier at full speed. The concrete slabs right under our feet just snapped. The bridge started collapsing like a house of cards. Elizabeth slipped on the wet concrete and began falling into that boiling, Black whirlpool. I lunged forward and managed to catch her by the wrist, but I lost my own balance. The edge was slippery. My fingers were scraping against the wet concrete. We both started sliding down. It was a matter of seconds. I thought, this is it, it's over. The current would drag us under the debris, and no one would ever find us. And suddenly, a massive, bone-crushing yank. Tom. He had thrown himself flat on his stomach and grabbed my jacket and Liz's hand. The veins on his neck were bulging, he was wheezing, and his face turned purple from superhuman exertion. I got you. I got you, grab my hand. He screamed over the roar of the water. Inch by inch, scraping his own skin off on the concrete, he hauled us up. First, I shoved Elizabeth onto the surviving edge of the deck, and then Tom helped me up. But at that exact moment, the slab Tom was lying on suddenly dropped. There was a horrific screech of rebar. Another piece of debris slammed into the structure at high speed, and Tom's leg was instantly pinned and crushed by a shifting, multi-ton concrete beam. Save her. I rushed to him, knee-deep in the freezing water. I tried to lift that damn boulder with my bare hands. I screamed. I called for help. But there was nothing around us but the roar of the flood. My fingernails were torn off. My hands were covered in blood. But the slab didn't even budge. The water was rising every second, already burying Tom up to his waist. Tom, hang on. Just wait, I'll find something, I'll help. I sobbed, looking around in the pitch black. But Tom just looked at me. The water was already creeping up to his chest. And you know what? There was no fear on his face. He just smiled this strange, warm smile. The exact same way he used to smile at the plant after a brutal shift. Alex, drop it. You won't make it, he said softly. His voice was incredibly calm amidst all that madness. No. Shut up, Tom. I'm not leaving you. I screamed, still uselessly clawing at the concrete. Alex, look at me. He caught my eye. The water is coming. The bridge is about to collapse completely. Take Liz and run for the hill. Next to me, Elizabeth screamed. The slab beneath her shook, and a new wave of water washed over the bridge completely. Save her, Alex. Live for the both of us. Those were his last words. With all his remaining strength, he shoved me with his free hand toward the hillside. I flew backward, falling right next to Elizabeth. And in that exact second, there was a deafening crack. The entire center section of the bridge, along with Tom, went under. The current just swallowed him in the blink of an eye. I remember dragging Liz up the hill, how she was screaming, how I was howling myself from helplessness and agony. We made it out. We survived. 3 weeks have passed. The water is gone. Right now, our town is just piles of mud, ruined houses, and complete desolation. Elizabeth and I are living in a temporary camp. We made it out alive. But every single night, when I close my eyes, I hear the sound of the rising water, and I see Tom smile. Just a regular guy from the plant, who didn't have a family of his own, but who gave his life for mine. I recorded this video because I want you all to know, there are real heroes living among us. And whenever you feel like everything around you is falling apart, just remember the price that was paid for you to be alive. His name was Tom. And I will never forget him. If you like this story, please subscribe. More stories are coming soon.